Hello everyone, this is Hope from Pros Before Bros, and I look like crap because I just got home from a 9-hour shift, and I'm tired and I'm feeling like crap right now. Quite literally, I just feel like pure garbage. I don't think I got much sleep last night, probably got like 4 hours of sleep, if that. So this video is just going to be really quick. I wanted to kind of give you a rundown of my first day for Contemporaryathon. And just to preface, I have a cold, so there's going to be a chance where my voice gives out a little bit, so just bear with me. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get this started. So, off the topic of Contemporaryathon, first off, I want to say that I finally finished Summer Assault by Katrina Leno. So, I finished it last night, and guys, I think I found my soulmate in a book. I love this book so much. It has been making its way around BookTube, and I thought it was just a bunch of hype at first, and then I decided I was going to pick it up on the fly one day, started reading it, and this book is just amazing. It's definitely 5 stars. So just to kind of give you a little bit of detail about it, the book is based on these two 17-year-old girls. Their sisters, Mary and Georgina, and I'm going to mess up their last name. Gosh, I can't say it. Fernway, there we go. So it's Mary and Georgina Fernway. And they live on this little island, and it's called By the Sea. Almost like Beyond the Sea by Bobby Darin. Classic. So anyway, they live on By the Sea. They're 17 years old, and they're getting ready to go out into the world. They've never been off the island before. This is their last summer on the island. So what happens is every summer, the island gets bombarded with tourists, and they're all there to see this rare bird by the name of Annabella. And folklore says that the bird Annabella is a distant relative of the Fernway girls. So there's a rumor about the Fernway girls being a little bit magical in the sense that they have superpowers, so to speak. Not like superhero powers, but more like powers that a witch may have. So it's a little bit of magic, a little bit of whimsy there. But it's so easy to relate to this book because the love between the two sisters, and the one sister, Georgina, is trying to just kind of figure things out. She is actually one of the only few girls on the island that identifies as gay, and she is trying just to figure out what she wants to do with that. And then there's a little bit of first love in there too, so she's trying to grapple through that and make sense of her life that way. There is some dark elements of the book, I will warn you. There is a couple triggers inside the book. However, I think this book does such a beautiful job in making sure that there's a good resolution for everything. So yeah, a lot of people have been mentioning that this book reminds them a lot of Practical Magic, and I did get that practical magic element from it. I think the book mostly reminded me of, oh gosh, I'm going to mess this name up. It's a movie that I used to watch a lot when I was a kid. My dad had it on VHS, and we used to watch all the time. The Spirit is Willing, and it's an old movie. If you guys know anything about it, I would be super duper stunned. I don't think they even make it on DVD anymore. It's called The Spirit is Willing, and it's about it's got, who was it, Sid Caesar, really old actor from that 50s and 60s genre, and it's based on a family going to this island. It's New England, small town, and basically spending a summer there, and a lot of supernatural things happen. I don't think the plot really reminds me of this book. I think it's just the old school elements. Like as I was reading this book, it's very universal. So they don't talk about cell phones, laptops, anything like that. So you could probably read this book and you could think of it at any time frame you want. And I kept gravitating towards like the 60s in particular. I mean, if you look at the cover, the girls look like they're dressed in 1960s clothes, in my opinion. And that happens to be my favorite decade. So I was reading this book and I could gravitate definitely towards the 1960s vibe. And Katrina Leno actually did such a beautiful job in painting the images of these homes and the businesses and the people inside this little island. And it was incredible. So we also get to meet Georgiani's best friend. Full name's Elvira, but she goes by Vira. And she reminds me a lot of like a sophisticated Morticia Addams as a teenager, if that makes any sense at all. Like a teenage Morticia Addams. She reminds me so much of her. Just that poise and just the sophistication. So I was able to finish this last night, and I will warn you guys, this book will make you cry. I was straight up ugly crying inside the bed last night, and my husband, this was around midnight, my husband just rolled over. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "It's this book. It's this beautiful book." And he's like, "Whatever." And he just like rolled over and left me to it. So I was able to finish this book. It is definitely a 5-star rating. I will tell you that Chelsea is also going to do this as an encore read in her Contemporaryathon, I believe, for this week. A lot of people weren't sure if this book would qualify. I think it could. Like I said, there is a touch of magic. There's a touch of whimsy, but I don't think it's anything that is going to totally discredit the book from doing Contemporaryathon. So if you are interested in reading this book and you've been kind of trying to figure out if you could get away with it this week, I definitely think it's worth a shot. So that being said, I was able to finish one book and was not on my Contemporaryathon TBR, but I think I'm going to just go ahead and add it for that. And it was the book I Was Born for This by Alice Osman. And if you are familiar with her, if you're not familiar with her, she wrote Radio Silence and Solitaire. And those are two books that have been on my TBR. And I'm hoping, oh my gosh, my dogs. I'm hoping to get these done sometime during the fall. I was able to finish this book, however. I did do it. Let's see, I did an audiobook of it. The audiobook is roughly about 9 hours. I was able to start it this morning and complete it by the time I left work. And I have to say, I probably would go ahead and give it a 4-star review. The content was great. The subject matters were really great. And it reminded me a lot of... It's basically, if you haven't seen the book or heard anything about the book, it's basically a journey between this young girl, her best friend that she met online, and them wanting to meet their favorite band, which is called Arc. And you get so many different perspectives. It's very complex, but it's very good. So you get her perspective as a fan. Her name is Angel. And then you get the perspective of the lead singer from Arc, and his name is Jimmy, and he is a transgendered male. So he talks about the confliction in transitioning and being the head of this big band. I mean, we're talking, this band has a fan base that's similar to like the Beatles back in the 1960s. So girls fainting, girls doing crazy shit and trying to vie for their attention, and how he deals with that as an individual. And a lot of great subject comes from this. Like he has social anxiety, he has panic attacks, So you really get to see a lot about this character. In fact, when I was reading it, or listening to it, if you will, I couldn't help but think about, like those big bands from the 60s, like the Beatles, for instance. I mean, they ended up having to stop touring in 1966 because it got to the point where the fan base had gone so crazy that they couldn't even play at, a full-size stadium like Shea Stadium. They couldn't even play there and have people hear the music. They couldn't even hear their own music. So it made you really take a perspective of how it must feel to be in one of these big super groups and have such a huge fan base and not be able to really have a life. Like Jimmy kept talking about how he wished that he could go outside and just walk around, and he couldn't even do that. So I really enjoyed and really appreciate that they touched on that perspective. And I don't know who the narrator was on the audiobook, but they did a phenomenal job as well. This book is definitely going to be on my favorites. Like I said, I'm kind of playing with adding it to my TBR list for Contemporaryathon, even though it was very unexpected. I'm not sure. I'm still kind of debating about that, but it was a very great read. I definitely appreciated it. It was a little lengthy. Like I said, I think it was over 400 pages or 9 hours of reading, which I'm okay with. It kept me captivated that whole entire time, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the dual point of views that I had. So all right, and the last book that I started for today, I started at 4:30 today, and it's Victoria Schwab's City of Ghosts. This has been making its ways around YouTube and around Twitter, around Facebook. A lot of social media attention right now with Victoria Schwab's books, especially since she has Vengeful coming out here. I believe it's next week. Is it really next week? So, yeah, I started this book. This is the first time I've ever read a Victoria Schwab book, and I really like this book a lot. Sorry, I'm so tired. But, this is a book, it's a middle grade book, and it's about a girl by the name of Cassidy who had a near-death experience. And ever since that near-death experience, she's able to lift the veil between the living and the dead. So she's able to communicate between these worlds and have experiences like flashbacks, for instance. She'll be able to flash back to see how a particular person or a particular spirit passed away. So it's a very interesting read. I believe, like I said, I started at about 4:30. It's very quick. I'm on page 95 right now. Mind you, this is not something I started reading last night. This was at 4:30. As you could tell, it is double-paged. I'm not double-paged, double-sided. So I think that helps a little bit with the reading. And the font's a little bit bigger, so that also, I'm sure, contributes. But it's also extremely compelling. I don't want people to think that this is such an easy read, you can just blow through it. It's very captivating. It's a very good book. And I really like how Victoria Schwab writes about this girl's experiences. Her writing is very beautiful and very captivating. So, yes, I do definitely like this book. And, of course, what's there not to like? Because there is a freaking cat. The cat is like a pattern everywhere on this book. I love cats. And the cat's name is Grim, which is even cuter. So, but yeah, I started reading this. I really like it. My goal is to probably get this book. I want to get halfway through this book. So about page 140, I believe there's 285 pages inside the book. It's a middle grade book, so it's might be a little bit quicker to read, but my goal, since I'm just not feeling that great, is to at least get to page 140. That way I could get a solid start for day one at Contemporaryathon. Then my next goal is to finish off Contemporaryathon Day 2 with sheets. I want to be able to start sheets on Day 2, hopefully by the afternoon, so I can do... My goal is to... I'm trying to explain this the best way possible. My goal is to take this book, City of Ghosts, and Sheets, which is also another paranormal book, but it's a graphic novel. And I would like to do like a combined review and maybe even like a story time. I recall, I think it was on Saturday, I did mention to you guys that I actually lived in a haunted house. I grew up in a haunted house. Thank God this house isn't haunted, or else we'd have some problems. It'd be on the market. Actually, no. I probably would get over it real fast. But I actually grew up in a haunted house. So I was thinking about doing maybe a review of both those books and doing a little story time. If you guys are down with that, definitely leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of that. Other than that, that's really all I have for day 1. I didn't really have too much going on, like I said. I kind of started a little late in the game, but so far so good. Really enjoyed it. And let's see, tomorrow, like I said, I'm hoping to have an update for you guys on day 2. And then later this week, I am also going to try to do a tag from my dear girl over at Bookish L. She's amazing. If you haven't had a chance, check her out. I'll see if I could get a link below for you guys. She actually tagged me on a travel tag. So if I feel better tomorrow, I'm going to try to get out to you guys tomorrow. If I don't, it's definitely going to be sometime this week. That way you could kind of do a tag with me. Other than that, you guys, I think that's all I have tonight. I probably said other than that and at least 20 times during this video because I am just so tired. Let me know how your first day went with Contemporaryathon. If you have questions about any of the books or just anything or suggestions, please leave... Sorry, that sounds gross. I love this thing so much, though. My God. Please leave your comments, suggestions, feedback, or tell me to put the damn egg down, whatever you prefer, down in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you like the content as a whole, feel free to subscribe. Other than that, I said it another time, but we're going to mark that as 21. Sounds about right. I'm going to let you guys go. So enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll check in with you all tomorrow. Bye.